Greetings and welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm glad to have you here. Before we begin, please take a moment to hit those like and subscribe buttons. It all helps feed the hungry algorithm. And while you're at it, check us out over on Patreon. Lots of cool stuff going on over there. The link is at the top of my YouTube page and the video description. And before we get much further, a shout out to my Tier 4 patrons. Russ of the Frozen North, Neo5AC, and Nick. Thank you very much. Now, on with the story. The Deathworlders, a story by Philip R. Johnson, a.k.a. Hambone, Hambone HFY, and Hambone 3110. Chapter 22, Warhorse, the Fourth Year, Part 2. Sean Harvey. Sean, I'm thinking of asking Charlotte to marry me, okay? I am the wrong guy to ask on whether I think you should be encouraging Ava to break up with her fella. Sean could only shake his head vigorously. That makes you perfect, he countered. You know what's at stake. Ben exhaled at length through his nose, shaking his head. I guess. He paused to think, resting his thumb thoughtfully on the end of his nose before continuing. Look, between you and me, I kind of hate this Adam bloke's guts, he confided. I don't know why she puts up with him, and I think it's only a matter of time before he really hurts her. Sean nodded, listening. But, this is Ava we're talking about. She's not stupid, man, Ben shrugged. You said it yourself. You wish you had half her brain. Yeah, but there's a difference between smart and smart, isn't there? Sean pointed out. I'm just saying, maybe you should trust her to know what she's about. Sean sipped his cup of tea. Dude, if I asked her why she loves this Adam guy, I know exactly what she'd say, he said, setting it down. What? She'd bang on about how he's doing something amazing and how they went through a lot together and, all that stuff we've heard before, right? Right. From what she's told us, do you know anything about what this chap's like as a person? Ben hesitated. Well, she says he's a nice guy and he's strong, he suggested lamely. Great. Nice. Wonderful. Is that all he is, do you think? Well, no. There's got to be more to him than that, hasn't there? If there is, she's never breathed a word of it to me, Sean shrugged. I wonder if she even knows what he's like anymore. Could be. I don't know. Does the military change people that much? He went into it when they were 17, Ben. They were last really together, like full-time together, when they were 16. Are you the same as you were back then? No, I guess not. Think he is? Ben didn't answer until both their cups of tea were almost completely drained. You know what? He asked finally. I think you're right. I think you need to go for it. I'm shit scared, Ben. She might never talk to me again. You said you want her to be happy, though. Yeah? Well, if she does that, then I guess that'll mean that she is happy, deep down, won't it? Ben pointed out. I'm still allowed to hate this Adam guy even if she does, Sean paused, right? Sean, you can be as envious of that son of a bitch as you want, Ben patted him on the shoulder. I've got your back. Sean nodded and stood. Ben stood with him, and they parted ways on the doorstep as Sean locked up his house. Wish me luck, he replied, pocketing the keys. Ben gave him a hug. Go find out, man. Ava Rios. Ava's phone moved a half-inch across her desk with a buzz and announced message from Sean. The message was very simple. It was a selfie of Sean standing outside her front door, holding up a plastic bag with some bottles in it. She laughed a little, set her tablet aside, and got up to let him in. I got beer for me, some kind of Bacardi fruit thing for you, he said in a way of hello, and held up the Bacardi fruit thing delicately between thumb and index finger, as if it were a soiled diaper or something similarly unpleasant. What's the occasion? Ava asked, smiling nervously as she took it. Things had been a little awkward between them for nearly a month now, made all the worse by the nagging part of her brain that really, really missed being able to feel relaxed around him, being at war with the part of her brain that really, really got all distracted and excited in his company. It's called hanging out, Duck. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm used to hanging out involving at least 2 more people, she said, letting him in the kitchen and selecting a glass for her drink. This is true, Sean conceded. But Ben's working on his dissertation and Charlotte lives here. She's working on her dissertation, Ava told him. And I'm working on mine. Actually, shouldn't you be working on yours? It's not due for another 2 months, he protested. Great. That means you only have to write like 300 words a day. Knowing you, you've typed more words than that on Facebook so far today. Well, if people will insist on being wrong on the internet, he smirked and tapped their drinks together. Really, though, he added, is there that much difference between 300 words today and 500 tomorrow? But it's never just 500 words tomorrow, is it? Ava pointed out. It's no words tomorrow either, and 700 on Thursday. And then you might as well call it 2,000 on the weekend. And before you know it, you'll be trying to write the whole thing at 4 a.m. the day it's due. My way, I get it done 2 weeks early, no stress, and I can improve it as I go. So responsible, he teased. Somebody has to be, she retorted. Besides, responsible is the easy way. I like the easy way. I suppose I can see why, Sean mused, after sipping his beer again. You've had it quite hard, after all. Ava made an incredulous little laugh. Only somebody as English as you could call it quite hard. I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Yes, I've had it quite hard. My home city was only blown up by aliens. My parents and school friends are only dead. I only witnessed my best friend's murder. My boyfriend's only gone away for years to become a space marine. I've definitely had it quite hard. Thank you for noticing. Sean was silent for a minute until she cooled off again, which took nearly a third of her glass. And you're still giving me advice on how to do my coursework properly, he added. Somebody has to, she repeated, though she offered him an apologetic little smile. I'm sorry, No, I'm sorry, Sean interrupted. He moved his chair a little closer to hers. You're right. I shouldn't pretend like I know everything you've gone through. She paused, then smiled, a rare, real, sad smile, with her walls down for just a few seconds. Thanks, Sean. Sean toasted her with his beer again, then put it down abruptly and sat forward. Hey, I know a joke you might like, he said. Ava paused in the middle of sipping her own drink. Okay. So, a man goes to see a doctor and says, Doctor, I really need your help. I've been feeling so bleak and depressed lately, I don't know what to do. The doctor smiles and says, I know just what you need. The great Pagliacci is in town this week, the funniest clown who ever lived. Go see him and you'll see that everything is all right. A funny clown? Impossible, Ava noted. Ah ha ha ha, Sean enunciated the dry laugh. Anyways, the man just breaks down in tears right there in the office. But doctor, he cries, I am the great Pagliacci. What Ava produced in reaction wasn't really a laugh. It was too short, and the amusement behind it was the quiet humor of bitter recognition, but it seemed to please Sean nonetheless, who shuffled a little closer. That's not a great joke, she said, unconsciously tucking a curl of hair behind her ear to look at him. I wasn't telling it to be funny, Duck, Sean told her. I was making a point. Right, you're saying I need to look after myself first. Pretty much. You've made that point before. Yeah, but I thought maybe I should follow my own advice. He kissed her. 5 perfect seconds later, when their lips parted, she was too stunned to do more than raise a few disjointed objections. Maybe that... She got no further as Sean kissed her again, and it was another several seconds before she finally worked up the presence of mind to put 2 hands on his chest and shove him right off his chair, leaping to her feet and turning away, too confused by the cluster bomb of emotions that had hit her to even look at him. Behind her, she heard Sean's breathing slow. Very, very carefully, he picked himself up off the floor and straightened his clothing. "I'm sorry," he said. I just needed to know one way or the other." She turned to face him, hunched over her folded arms. "You should probably go," she told him. He did as she suggested, turning and shuffling out of the kitchen without a backwards glance and with his fists balled. Ava heard it until she heard the front door close and lock behind him before allowing herself the luxury of collapsing back into her seat, grasping 2 fistfuls of her hair and beating herself up. Some minutes later, Charlotte poked her head round the door, rushed to her side, and provided a much-needed shoulder for her to soak. Scott Air Force Base, St. Clair County, Illinois, USA, Earth. Adam Aries. "Baby, I know it's your rest day today. Call me when you can, please. XX." Baseball considered the text message for several seconds before offering his sage and experienced wisdom. "Sounds serious, bro." "Yeah," Adam nodded and jerked his head towards the back of the plane. "I'll be back there." They were on a stopover at Scott AFB after 2 full days of loading every scrap of the SOR's accumulated gear and personal effects onto the Galaxy. Huge as a C-5's lift and fuel capabilities were, the gym gear alone accounted for several tons, which, when coupled with the reinforced furniture, the armory, the lucky reinforced grav ball goal, not to mention their suits, protective maintenance equipment for the suits, plus the techs and all their stuff. While Galaxy had plenty of seating on the upper deck, the operators were all big enough to find the seats uncomfortably small, and they were prone to overheating anyways. Noisy as it was, the cargo deck was pleasantly cold, and so they'd set up a sort of nest in one of the few corners not completely given over to cargo, and were playing Texas Hold'em. It had taken a whale-sized gulp of fuel just to get them aloft, hence the hour of leisure time while the plane was checked, fueled, and took on a few items of cargo bound for HMS Charmin. The hell with the cost of international calls. He could afford it, and she needed him. "Hello?" He smiled. She sounded so cute when she was tired. "Ava, did I wake you, babe?" "It's 3 a.m, baby," she griped just a little. I'm real glad to hear from you, but why didn't you call sooner?" "I'm on a plane," he explained. "We just landed in Illinois." "Oh, what are you doing on a plane in Illinois?" "It's refueling. We're on our way up to Scotch Creek." "Why are you—" There was a sharp rustling of bedding at the end of her line. "Are you going back to CImbrean?" "Yeah, the SOR is going to be permanently posted there. Isn't that cool?" "Adam, when the hell were you planning on telling me this?" "First chance I got," Adam said, "which is now." What about your contract? What's going on with that?" she asked. Adam frowned, wondering what was getting her so worked up. "I re-enlisted. They offered us this amazing homesteading incentive, seeing as Folk is going to be SOR's permanent home, and, it's home, so—" "Homesteading incentive?" Ava interrupted him. "Yeah, it's this big grant and maybe a low-interest loan for, building a life out there, buying a house or whatever. All they need from me is a few more years." "How many years, Adam?" For the full grant, they want a career enlistment." "Which is how long?" He said sheepishly. It's 20 years total commitment, but that includes—" 20 years?" Adam jerked the phone away from his ear and winced. He could still hear her anyways. "You re-enlisted for 20 years, and you're on a plane going back to CImbrean where I won't be able to call you or anything, and you're only telling me now?" "Baby," he argued, "that includes what I've already done, so it's only 16... There was a sharp sound, and the line went dead. Ava? Baby? Hello? Redialing sent him straight to her answer phone. He tried twice more just in case, then gave up and turned the phone off in disgust, and mooched back over to where the guys were lying around in one of the few clear spaces on the plane. You guys had a fight? Stevenson asked. Yeah, beats the fuck out of me why, though. Adam smashed down onto the deck cross-legged. I mean, CImbrean's home for us. I thought you'd be delighted. Uh-huh, Legsy muttered in a noise that was equal parts agreement and skepticism. And what exactly did she want to talk to you about? Adam paused. Well, Every last one of his buddies pantomimed and voiced dismay. Legsy just pressed 3 fingers to his forehead and looked pained. You fucking tit, he groaned. Adam looked around at their reactions, then down at his knees. I really suck at this, huh? Brother, Baseball said, putting an arm around him. She's a goddamn saint for putting up with your stupid ass. Saint Ava had in fact thrown her phone at the wall hard enough to wreck it, and was now patrolling furiously around the room, desperate to rant and scream and throw more things and sweep her possessions dramatically onto the floor. And she was only holding herself back because she didn't want to wake Charlotte and Ben in the next room. She settled for a half hour of angry tears as she spun snarling circles in the middle of the room, playing out sotto voice all of the vicious, hateful thoughts about Adam that she would really, really like to have said to his face. She called him an idiot, a jackass, a fucking dickhead, an inconsiderate cocksucker, a selfish son of a fucking whore, and worse. She described in vivid and scatological Spanish exactly what she would do with his guts once she had finished extracting them, between bouts of sitting on her bed, raking her scalp with her fingernails, and wanting, wishing, needing to punch him as hard as she possibly could right in his stupid, sexy puppy dog face. In the end, she was so hoarse and exhausted from the outburst that she found herself waking up at a misty 6 a.m. with no idea of where to go or what to do or who to talk to. She sat up, blinked at the sad remains of her phone in the middle of the room, and more out of hopelessness than anything else, she held down the power button. To her utter astonishment, smash screen or not, it turned on and booted up. She nearly dismissed the 3 calls from Adam, but instead, she sat and stared at them for nearly 20 minutes before finally arriving at a decision. One that was, she considered, perfectly reasonable and entirely fair and balanced. Fuck it. She stood, took a shower, brushed her teeth, put on her clothes, grabbed her keys and the damaged device, and left the room. Sean Harvey. Sean's phone rang 5 times before he swiped the green control to answer. 3 of those rings were him staring at the name on the screen. He answered cautiously. Hey. I was worried I wouldn't hear from you again after... That was... Ava sighed down her phone. We need to talk about it. I'll come over. Or you could just let me in. It's kind of cold out here. He frowned, leaned over, and twitched the curtain aside. Ava gave him a sheepish wave through the glass. She was hovering outside his front door, bobbing, fidgeting, and pacing. He let her in. You could have just knocked. Yeah, she agreed, but shrugged. Didn't, though. What happened to your phone? Don't ask. Cup of tea? She sighed a sort of laugh. Sure. By the time tea was made, she'd warmed up a bit on the couch, using the chocolate brown throw for a blanket. So, look, I'm sorry, he began. No, I understand, Ava told him. In fact, I think you were right. I think we needed that question answered. Sean sat back, feeling his pulse raise a good notch. Are you saying... What are you saying? Ava stood up and paced the room, still draped in the throw. Look, you're right. I've been lonely as fuck for a long time, and I'm tired of being jerked around and taken for granted, she told him. And you make all of that better. I'm not lonely around you, and I know you don't take me for granted. But, she sighed, but for all the shit he puts me through, I really do love Adam with all my heart. And he's really doing something amazing, okay? And I know that part of what keeps him going is, well, me. Sean just listened to her. But at the same time, you're right. I've got to live for myself a bit, don't I? I've got to be happy and fulfilled myself, or else I know I'm just going to take it out on him one day. I can't afford to resent him, and I don't want to. But right now, I do. I think I get you, Sean said. Do you? She asked. It was neither skeptical nor a challenge, nor even a plea for him to say what she wanted to hear. Just an honest query. It was Sean's turn to stand up, and he put his hands on her upper arms, rubbing gently. Ava, you know bloody well how I feel about you. I'm not asking for forever. I want you to feel loved, that's all. There's room for more love in your life, isn't there? She looked down, then away, then up at his face again. There were a tense few seconds of thoughtful silence. Ground rules, she announced at last. Okay. This is going to end. I can't put an exact date on it, okay? After I've graduated and I go back to CImbrean, that's it. If you can't live with that, then we don't do this, and I guess we both get friend-zoned. That's rule 1, Sean nodded. Rule 2, she continued. We enjoy it, as much as we can, for as long as we've got. Rule 3, Sean told her, nodding. This is about you. Ava hesitated. Sean, she began. No, shut up. Look, fuck it. I love you. Bit early maybe to tell you that, but it's been what? 3 years, hasn't it, since we met? But what? Ava, this is about you. End of discussion, okay? What I want from us is for you to not feel lonely and neglected anymore. That's all, I promise. Sean, just stop being the great Pagliacci for once and let somebody do something for you, okay? Let yourself be selfish for... She kissed him. Several minutes later, hair and clothing thoroughly disrupted, they finally paused, breathing heavily. She gulped down a sigh and settled her head onto his chest, wriggling down until they were a warm knot of limbs on the couch. Sean just held her and played gently with her hair until she fell asleep. He knew how she felt. He hadn't slept much last night either. A few minutes later, after she fell asleep, he did as well. Date point: 8 years, 4 months, AV. HMS Sharman, Folkta, CImbrean, the Far Reaches. John Baseball Burgess. Hey. Adam had been in a bad way the whole trip. Several more calls to Ava's phone once they'd landed in Scotch Creek had gone to messages, and they'd just been able to hear him sounding despondent and desperate as he finally gave up and left her a voicemail, begging her to email him. It was heart-wrenching. The spaceborne operators were brothers nowadays, closer than. But Adam, being the youngest on the team and the only one in a permanent relationship, definitely inspired the strongest brotherly instincts. He was usually the composed and calm one, too, always happy to join in with the roughhousing and free-flowing loving insults, but never going overboard. Seeing him so distressed had killed all of that. But that had to stop now. The long journey was over now, and Baseball had to get his best friend back into soldier mode. You okay? I don't know, man, Adam swallowed. Hell, his eyes were red around the edge. I think I really fucked up this time. I think I fucked up bad. Brother, you didn't do shit, Baseball grabbed Adam's bag for him. The old man says we're coming to CImbrean, we're going to CImbrean. Not your fault we're here. I know, but she's right. I should have told her sooner. When? We found out about 3 days ago. We've been loading our shit the whole time. You told her first chance you got, man. Adam didn't say anything. He just nodded helplessly. Come on, Baseball slapped him on the back. We got shit to unload. Get stowed, and then it's the weekend. Get your mind off it, huh? Yeah. Hard work was always a good balm for a troubled mind, and nobody could work harder than the protectors. By the time all the pallets had been cleared out of the jump array and moved to their respective final destinations, by the time the operators had been shown to the new barrack and had gotten their possessions tidied away, and by the time the SOR was finally ensconced and ready to get on with business, Adam had relaxed a little, even cracked a smile and a joke. It wasn't until they were squared away and he got a chance to sign into the barrack's Wi-Fi that he finally truly settled, though, because there was an email waiting for him. John read it over his shoulder at Adam's invitation, practically a request to have somebody holding his hand in case of the worst. I'm sorry, baby. If that was your first chance to tell me, then yeah. I shouldn't have blown up like I did. I'm just really frustrated sometimes. I'll try and find some way to keep on top of it. Love you, Ava, he read. Adam was sighing with relief. She's a saint, you're right. Outwardly, John just nodded and patted his buddy on the shoulder, leaving him to write his return. Internally, however, Legsy was reclining on the new couch, which was already groaning under his weight. They'd all but destroyed the last couch through piling onto it en masse for movie night and roughhousing, and this one looked to be rather less sturdy. Vandenberg was already talking about welding together something more appropriate out of a material that was up to spec, like steel I-beam. How is he? Got an email. She said sorry for getting mad. Says she's going to try and keep on top of it. John vaulted the back of the couch to sit down and ignored the way it creaked as he landed. Don't know if I'd buy that, Legsy grunted. Well, I mean, John shrugged. She's pretty fucking dedicated to him. Too fucking dedicated, Legsy agreed. I don't know, mate. She can't just go on writing off their fights and saying it's fine, can she? When does she graduate? Year and a half? Something like that, Legsy agreed. You think she's going to tough on through, then have it out with him once she's back here? I hope so. Difficult if she's struggling now. You know, if you two worry about Warhorse's love life too much, we're going to wind up with 3 guys off their game, Vandenberg commented, joining them. He'll be okay for now, Baseball said. He just got a make-up email. Good, because I know the old man's noticed, Rebar joined them on the couch, which was already about to its limit. Something cracked deep inside of it, and it sagged under the combined weight. None of them paid any attention. He's not going to weigh in unless Adam actually fucks up, though, Legsy said. Anyways, all we can do is keep him on task. Let it sort itself out, one way or another. Yep. Baseball shifted his seat a bit, and the couch finally gave up. With a crackle of disintegrating wood, it tilted to one side and folded up like a house of cards. There was a long silence. Base? Yeah, Legs? You got a med kit? Yeah, why? Something sharp stabbed into my bum, Legsy informed him. I think it's a screw. Sounds serious, Base, Rebar said, hauling himself to his feet. Yeah, can't have the NCOIC getting screwed in the ass, John agreed, standing up himself. This earned a groan from the 2 older men, and a middle finger from Legsy. All right, I'll patch up your butt. Vandenberg contemplated the wreckage. Guess I'll get started on some actual furniture. Hey, Sykes. Snapshot's voice floated out of its room. Yeah? Give me a hand, will you? The couch just gave up and screwed Legsy in the ass. What? Sykes' head poked around the corner. as did everyone else's with varying expressions of confusion and delight. "You big bastards broke it already," Murray grinned. "Yeah, that's right. Laugh the man with a bit of metal sticking out of his bum," Legsy grumbled, wincing as he gingerly lifted himself out of the couch wreckage with his hand pressed to his left buttock. Baseball just chuckled and went to fetch his medkit, while defenders put their heads together on designing a new couch. He passed Adam on the way, who was leaning against the door, smirking. "You all right?" "Yep." He gave his friend a slap on the shoulder and carried on. Whatever was going on with Ava, Adam at least was okay. That was all they could ask for. Date point: 8 years, 5 months AV. London, England. Earth. Ava had once told Sean that she had learned early on in practicing her photography that rain didn't show up well on camera. It could be the wettest, most miserable day ever, but all you ever actually got in the picture was a general sense of gray dampness. Rain in movies and on TV had to be hugely exaggerated to even show up. Today, that rain would have shown up without the exaggeration, which meant that even at a dead run, the 100 yards or so between the bus stop and Sean's house was more than enough time for every inch of them to get comprehensively drenched. Sean's shaking hands didn't help matters, as he fumbled and dropped the keys, and by the time he'd managed to barge through the door and into the hallway, they were both spitting water and shivering. Other than that, it had been a successful date. They'd gone to a movie, eaten at Frankie and Benny's, and had been strolling around the park when the first roll of thunder had driven them underground. Sean was the first to speak, or pant. "Jesus Christ!" "I hear ya. We should have got a cab." Ava clutched at her elbows and hugged over. She wasn't out of breath, but she had never coped well with the cold. "Ew!" "Yeah." Sean looked at her and made a calculation about size. "I've got some dry clothes upstairs if you want. I'll just shove everything in the tumbler dryer." "You mean that thing works?" "Of course it does," Sean said. "You never use it." "Using the washing line's just cheaper, though, isn't it?" He kicked off his shoes and stripped sodden socks into the hallway tiles and grumbled his way into the kitchen. "Cup of tea?" he asked. "God, yes, please," Ava called through. A few seconds later, she added, "Man, everything's wet." "Yeah, give me a minute and I'll go get you something to wear while the kettle's on," Sean told her, filling it. "It's okay, I'll find something," she called, and he heard her trot upstairs. "Hey, what about your clothes?" he called. "They're by the door." Sean frowned and leaned back out into the hallway. Sure enough, there was a sad little pile of wet clothes slapped down on the tiles by the door, and it wasn't just the outers. There was a bra and underwear in there, too. He blinked, coughed, and considered what that meant. Probably nothing, he decided. Ava wasn't the type to drop hints that subtle. She was more of the lean against the doorframe wearing goosebumps and a smile school of thought when it came to the subtle game of seduction. That lumbering meathead Adam had forced her to be refreshingly direct. She came back down a few minutes later with her hair wrapped in a towel and wearing one of his t-shirts, a pair of board shorts, and a black hoodie he'd picked up at Reading Festival a few years ago. "You okay?" "Warming up," she replied, and took her mug of tea. "You've still not changed." "Well, if you're okay with me wandering around the house naked." "Why not? It's your house." "Well, yeah, but..." She leaned against the fridge. "But what?" "Ah, never mind. It's too cold round here. I'm go get changed." "Sure." She sat up on the couch and was wrapped up in a throw with the TV on by the time he came downstairs again. When he sat next to her, she just snuggled up and put her head in his lap. He put his arm round her. "You okay?" "Still cold." "I put the heating on for a blast." "Thanks." They sat in silence for a while watching the news. "Criticized by some civil activists in India, where 80 million people still lack access to clean drinking water. However, India's Minister of Water Resources, Suresh Gadkari, was supportive of the idea." The greatest obstacle still bedeviling our efforts at universal access to sanitation and safe drinking water continues to be population. The declining cost of energy has helped us reach more people and improve their access to basic hygiene, but the fact that our population is still growing, putting ever more strain on our already overworked natural resources. If, however, we can encourage people to emigrate to an alien world where the water resources can be properly managed from the start, then that will take off the pressure here on Earth and allow us, for the first time ever, to seriously talk about reaching 100% access to clean water. I'm personally very excited. India and China aren't the only nations interested in emulating the example set by Folktha, however. The USA and Russia have both also expressed interest in founding colonies of their own. The EU ministers in Brussels have also considered proposals for a colony, despite some outspoken opposition. Humanity has already spread to one world and killed it. Millions of unique alien species extinct because of one person. Now, this era of the Earth's geological history is already known as the Anthropocene and is defined by a mass extinction event. Wherever we go, we kill things. And until we get this basic problem sorted out, then I don't care how many new antibiotics or whatever we find on these alien worlds. We've got no business going out there. French EU Minister Naomi Perrin said that although such concerns are well-founded, there will still be grounds for optimism. Of course, we need to be cautious, but I don't think we will learn anything if we remain stuck on one planet. Already, contact with alien life promises to end our dependence on fossil fuels and has... Ava shifted against him. Hey, Sean? Yeah? He looked left, and she kissed him. It was a gentle kiss, accompanied by a happy sigh, and it lasted for a good few warm and comfortable seconds. Ava didn't kiss him all that often, but when she did, when it was over, he gave her a little squeeze. That was nice. What was it for you? You just make me feel loved. By sitting here and watching the news with you. By holding me, wafer thin. She smiled, then pulled herself up with a hand on the back of his head and kissed him again. And again. And a third time. Just below his ear, a move which he answered by putting a thumb on her chin, gently pushing her to tilt her head up and kissing her throat. Then a little lower on the throat, and a little lower still. She grabbed his hand, worrying him that he'd gone too far. But instead, she guided it up onto her chest and... Oh yeah, she wasn't wearing a bra, was she? He could feel something small and hard press against his palm through the cloth. Fuck that cloth. He lowered his hand, unzipped the hoodie, grabbed the bottom of her shirt and pulled it upwards, awarding himself a mental medal at the noise she made when he put his lips and tongue to work on her nipple instead. Her hands weren't idle either. They roamed his back, curled in his hair, hauled up on his own clothing until he finally had to pull back and let her pull his shirt off. She made a little laugh, and he was still trying to figure out if it was a mocking sound or a happy one when one of those roaming hands traced down his center line, from his chest to his tummy to his belt buckle, then just a little lower where she stopped and pressed down, stopping his breath for an instant. They paused, both breathing heavily, and then there was a new expression in her eye, a witchy one that he'd never seen before. She leaned forward and kissed his throat, then his chest, then a little lower, and a little lower, and a little lower. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am the Casual Deathworlder, your host, and this has been The Deathworlders, Chapter 22, Part 4, Part 2. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. If you did, please go ahead and smash those like and subscribe buttons and drop us a comment down below. It all helps the algorithm. And as always, first shout out goes to my editor, Gregor. Thank you very much, buddy. We could never do this without you. All right. Yeah, that one left off in an interesting place. And yeah, I know there's a whole lot of you who are going to be really pissed right now because of where this has gone. I didn't write it. And yeah, people have different opinions of it. So, all right, it is what it is. That's all I can say about that. Okay, so there should be, I believe, 2 more sections of this particular chapter to go. So, all right, question, who's got the question? Okay. How many different states or other countries have you visited? Could be an interesting one. Leave your answers in the comments down below. Until next time, be safe, be well. I love you all. Bye-bye. Ben, give him a head. No, give him you.